Well, hello there. I wasn't expecting to have company today. Otherwise, I might have put on another pot of coffee. No, I'm just kidding. I know that you're just a figment of my imagination, being recorded by a camera in the middle of my living room. But you know what? Since you're here, why don't you stick around a while? We'll put on a few records. Maybe I'll show you my listening space. Come on. Isn't this just nice? Big comfy couch all to myself. This, right here, is the magic spot. When no one else is at home, I pull the speakers out and I place them in just the right spot. Which, if you watched a recent episode of The Runout with my friend Russ from Mama's Records, we talked about the importance of speaker placement. And it turned out to be kind of a revelatory experience for me. Well, since you're here, why don't I show you what I do when I'm going to sit down and really dig in deep and listen to some records. I think you'll find it interesting. My name's Adam McDormand, and this is Medium Quality. That's good. That's quite good. You know, under normal circumstances, for day-to-day music listening and social spins of the old turntable, I usually keep my speakers up against the wall behind me here, and they sort of blast outward into the open space. And that works for probably 75% of the listening that I do. But when it's time to sit down and really focus, really give myself the mental space to enjoy the records in their fullest capacity and give my system some breathing room. Turn the volume up a little bit. See how good they really are. That's when I move the speakers out to a special spot. And it may seem weird. Let me show you. Doesn't this seem like kind of a strange place to put a speaker? And it kind of is. This isn't a particularly practical location for speakers to live day to day, especially when this is as we mentioned in the Runout episode, a dual-use space. This is a common area. My daughter plays here. My wife enjoys her murder mystery shows on television here. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to leave these speakers out here all the time. So when my friend Russ came over, we measured the room, did a few calculations, and played around with some speaker placement until we found what was the optimal place for the speakers to be located to really get the most out of the music. And since these speakers have to go back up against the wall when I'm finished listening, we came up with what I think is a fairly innovative idea. You see, under this rug are a couple of masking tape marks indicating where the feet of the speaker should be lined up. And it gives us a pretty close to perfect recreation of that exact optimal listening position. So that in about 6 or 7 minutes, I can get both of the speakers back into place just right for listening. Maximum efficiency so that I'll make the most use of it. Because, let's face it, if it was incredibly inconvenient to pull the speakers back out and listen in the best spot, well, frankly, I wouldn't do it. And you know what they say. Modern problems require modern solutions. So the speakers are placed, and I'm sitting comfortably in the middle of the couch, leaning forward ever so slightly to grant myself access to that magic spot, the place where there's an almost surrounding image of the stereo sound with the widest possible sound stage. And it sounds incredible. Except, do you hear that? There's nothing actually on the turntable. Speakers by themselves will accomplish nothing. Let me show you the rest of my setup. And here's where the rest of the gear lives. I've got everything housed in a Novogratz Concord turntable stand that we got when we first moved into this house. And I like it a lot. It's fairly simple. It's got a little bit of a mid-century modern look to it, but it does the job. Up top, we have the turntable. This is an Audio-Technica AT-LP120, which is a fairly middle-of-the-road turntable. You can pick this one up fairly easily. It's not the most expensive. It's certainly not the cheapest, but I like it quite a bit. Now, I've replaced the stock cartridge with a Shure M97X, and I think even an aftermarket needle that does something to the sound, but I do like it better than the stock cartridge. And I have that running through my Technics SAEX 110 receiver that provides about 100 watts per channel, which does a good job of driving those Pinnacle Gold tower speakers. One of the things I like most about this turntable stand is that there's ample space underneath for records. So we keep a selection of our favorites as well as my new arrivals. So if I'm in the mood to listen to a record, it's quite easy to just grab one right off the top and put it on this convenient stand where I can display whatever's spinning. And then we have one of my favorite features of this part of the house, and that is these invisible wall shelves that hold a rotating selection of albums that I think really make this space look really cool. I try to change them out about once a month to give the space a little bit of a fun vibe. I just think it's a nice touch for a family that enjoys music as much as we do around here. Now, you may have one final question, and that is, where are the rest of the records? I'm glad you asked. Let's go. Of course, you might recognize this as the place where I record all my YouTube videos, against the backdrop of this IKEA Kallax shelf, which is full, top to bottom, with records. But that's only half. You see, on the other side of the room, the less aesthetically pleasing side of the room, is the other half of my collection. We go from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard all the way down to the zombies. There's good stuff on both sides, and it really does make a lot of sense to keep the records in here out of the common area because it doesn't overwhelm our living space with this wall of records. I love having the records in here. It allows me to keep a nice balance between feeling like this is my domain, where I have control of how well indexed and organized these records are, without making it all that inconvenient to come into here, thumb through the shelves, and find a few favorites to add to the turntable stand. And plus, this room has a pleasant symmetry that makes for such a nice backdrop when I record the Runout with Russ from Mama's Records, or when I'm streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/medium_quality. And that, my imaginary friends, is my listening setup. I would love for you to drop into the comments and tell me what your situation looks like. Where do you keep your records and your turntable and your speakers? So guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're really invested in what's happening here on this YouTube channel, then I'm going to leave a link in the description section below where you can get some pretty cool medium quality merch. So until next time, keep spinning that good stuff. What a time to be alive.